Okay, so we are going to do our sourdough waffle recipe. I'm going to be doubling it. We double them, we double the recipe and then we freeze it. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So for a single recipe, it's 256 grams of spelt. So that's 512 grams. So we're going to put this on grams. We've already tared it out. So 512 because we're going to double it. You can use any grain you want. We just really like the spelt. Oops. Okay. For its nice nutty flavor. The sourdough is actually ground with rye. And I'll show you how to do that in just a few minutes. So 512 grams of spelt. And we're going to go ahead and this is where we're going to start. We're going to start with grinding. You got to turn on the kind of put it in a new place. I've lost it. Okay, so we're going to go ahead. So I added in 2 teaspoons of baking soda. So each recipe calls for 1 teaspoon. And then we did 2 tablespoons of sugar for each recipe. Alright, and we kind of made this recipe up as we went. So this is our recipe. So you can play with it if you want. I'm doing light, probably not full teaspoons, but 2 teaspoons each recipe, so 4 teaspoons of salt. Get that mixed in with the dry ingredients. Then there's our sourdough starter, so it's calling for 2 cups. So here we are adding 4 eggs, because remember we're doubling it, so each recipe needs 2 eggs. And here is 1 3/4 cups of, I think on this day we were using either buttermilk or kefir, probably kefir. So it's 1 3/4 cups for each recipe, so if you double it, that's 2.5 cups. You could use regular milk, buttermilk. I use kefir quite a bit, just because I make it and I like it. And then we've got the extra virgin olive oil or avocado oil, and we've been using 1/2 cup per recipe, so this would have called for about 1 cup. But I've been trying to pull it back and see if we can get away with using less oil. So I think we only used maybe 2/3 of a cup in this double of a recipe. So we just want to get it nice and mixed up. And then we've got some water here. It's just plain tap water. And you really just want to add enough to get the desired consistency. And sometimes it just takes practice to
to determine what consistency, excuse me, works best for your waffle maker. So then we just close it up and either throw it in the fridge and come back to it the next morning, or use it that evening.
So we're going to feed the sourdough. So you can see I don't have a lot left after using this to make waffles. So here's my rye berries. I'm gonna go ahead, this is how I do it. I just stick it in there, turn it on, pour some you can see we've got plenty of flour in there, way more. I'm giving this a really good feeding. Just some, we have well water, so I don't need to worry about it. If you're on chlorinated water, you need to let it sit out or use non-chlorinated water, because we do not want the chlorine to kill what we're trying to grow. Okay. As you can see, I measure very precisely here. Look at that. I'm more about texture. So just a hair more of water. I gave it a heavy, heavy feed, which means I gave it a lot more flour than I had starter. And there we have it. Now my sourdough is fed.
And then the time comes, you've taken off the last one, and then you get to enjoy this labor of love with a beautiful pat of butter and homemade strawberry rhubarb jam. It's hard to believe that you are getting such amazing nutrition as well as something so delicious.